Welcome to this week's web class. Tonight we are going to talk about skills and how you can use your skills to help with your life purpose. I'm Keisha Golder, and I help women define their unique purpose so that they can live a life of personal power. I also created the Your Life Purpose Makeover Journey, where we go through 3 stages and 9 steps to get you to understand what your purpose is and create a blueprint for you to actually follow through and live your purpose. Just a reminder, there will be a question and answer section towards the end of the presentation, so please hold all of your questions until then. Before we jump into tonight's topic, let's do a quick recap from last week. Last week was all about personal accountability. We discussed what personal accountability was. There were truths about personal accountability that we discussed, like personal accountability cannot be put on someone else, meaning you can't make someone else be accountable for anything. They have to want to do it themselves. We also discussed the benefits of practicing accountability. If you missed last week's web class, check out my YouTube channel, Keisha Golder, or go to my website, www.keishagolder.com. So let's move on to this week. What are we going to learn today? This week, we are going to learn what skills are, how we can identify our skills, and how to use your skills to help you find your life purpose. What are skills? Most people think of skills as something you're good at doing and things that come naturally to you, or something that you can be trained to do. The thing about skills is that we're all good at some things. A lot of those things we don't even have to put much thought into doing them, but the individual who is good at those things does not necessarily perceive them to be skills. Take me, for example. I have had the habit for years of saying, when people say, "You're really good at that," I'll say, "Oh, that's just me." Not understanding that they saw what I was doing as a skill because either they did not know how to do it, they never learned how to do it, but I did it, and I did it with breeze. So those things that I do where people say those things and I'm just like, it's just me, I don't think of those as skills, but they actually are. So sometimes when we are looking for the things that we're good at, the skills that we have, or the talents, it's always a bonus to check in with someone who knows you, who's been around you for some period of time, because they are able to tell you things that they identify as skills that you have that you may not see. What types of skills are there? There are 2 types of skills. There are hard skills, and then there are soft skills. Hard skills are the things that you have to learn, such as IT training, certifications for different careers like phlebotomy, medical billing and coding, counseling, even coaching. These are all skills that you have to be trained to do. Yes, the basics or some knowledge of these areas may come to you as with ease, but in order for you to really be good at them, you have to have training. Soft skills are the things that come to us easy as people. Soft skills are the things like our personality, the type of character that we have as an individual, the things that we relate to as emotions, and people skills. These are considered soft skills because in most instances, you can't teach soft skills. They are just naturally obtained or developed over time. Now, I'm going to give you examples of both hard skills And soft skills, like I stated earlier, IT is a skill that is considered a hard skill. On the side of soft skills for IT would be troubleshooting and problem solving. We all try to troubleshoot and problem solve before we go to someone else or before we pay someone else to do something. We all try to troubleshoot and problem solve. And so that is a soft skill that a lot of people have. Everyone does not have the hard skill of IT training. Public relations is also a hard skill. And for those of you who may not know, public relations is basically creating a plan to get your name out to the public and determine the best ways for your organization or an individual to be seen in the public and build relationships with the individuals in the public. So the soft skill that relates to public relations would be creativity. We all, in some aspect, have some form of creativity. It just might not be on the level that would be considered a hard skill for public relations. Sales is another hard skill. Everyone, at some point, even myself, has thought that they were really good at sales. But without the training and the know-how to sell, you're just trying to figure out how to get people to come in, and you're not really knowledgeable in the area of sales. The soft skill that can relate to that is time management. But the only thing that I have with time management is that some people, even though they may have the very basics of time management, they may need to learn a little more on how to manage their time. They may have just a generalized idea, so they need to work on it a little bit more to get more in depth on how to manage their time best for them. Coding is another hard skill. I don't know about you, but I am not an individual that is going to take the time to code a program and create it. I don't have the knowledge to do that. Yes, it sounds like it may be a wonderful skill to have, but it's not for me. And so, therefore, I don't have that hard skill, but I do have the soft skill of strategic thinking. I can think of a multitude of ways to create something, to develop something, to get out of something. But you cannot get me to code anything, because I don't think that would be a game or a program that anyone would want. And another hard skill is bookkeeping. We pay accountants to keep our books the way that they should be, because one, everyone does not have the time, and two, everyone does not have the patience. So that is a skill that needs to be learned. But we have the soft skills of interpersonal relations, where that's talking to people, understanding people, learning and knowing how to deal with people in certain situations. So now that we've gotten a better idea of what skills are, let's talk about how we are going to identify our skills. There are a couple ways that we can identify skills. You can identify your skills by the things that you are using in your current position, whether you are a stay-at-home mom, whether you are working a full-time job, a part-time job, or a student. In everything that I just named, you have to have skills to do those things. So in order to identify those skills for your current position, you may need to sit down and think about all of the things that you have done while in that position and relate it to a skill. So for a stay-at-home mom, because for me, that is a job. For some people may not see it that way, but I do see it as a job. You have to be very good at organizing. You have to be good at time management. You have to be excellent at communicating. These are all skills just from that one thing, which is being a stay-at-home mom. Being a student, you have to be able to communicate. You have to be knowledgeable of technology in some type of way. You also have to be able to know how to research and identify things as you're reading for your subjects or as you're preparing for presentations. So these are all skills that can go on your list. Another way to identify skills is to think of the things that you are strong at or strong in. So for me, I know that one of my strengths is helping people. For as long as I can remember, one of my strengths has always been helping individuals. Now, someone else's strength might be able to talk a person into doing whatever they want. A lot of people call that the gift of gab, but someone else's strengths may look different. So you think about all of the things that you're strong at and you add those to your list of skills that you've come up with from your current position. And the last one that I actually mentioned it earlier is talking to other people who are around you and who interact with you a lot, because they will be able to tell you what your strengths and your skills are. I'm telling you, we as individuals do not see a lot of the things that we do as being a skill or a talent, but everyone around us could give you at least 5 different things that they see that you do that you're strong in or that they consider a skill. So when you talk to those people, you add those to your list of strengths and skills that you use in your current positions. And that is how you begin to identify your skills. Once you have that list, you can also identify your skills by taking an assessment. There are a bunch of skill assessments online. If you think about it, when you apply to most jobs nowadays, you take an actual questionnaire. It may vary in the number of questions that they ask you, but they ask you about different scenarios and what you would do and how you would act in this scenario. They are giving you a skills assessment without telling you that it is a skills assessment. Most job applications, whether they are online or in person now, actually give you an assessment to identify your skills. They just don't give you the feedback as to what it came up as, but they utilize that to know whether they are going to hire you and what position you will be good for. Another way to identify your skills, like I stated, is to ask people inside and out. Now, this is not just people that you may encounter at work or at school. This is your family, your closest friends, because they can see things in you that even the individuals that you're around a lot of the times in school or work may not identify as a skill. Another good thing to identify your skills is to look at old report cards, performance reviews, anything that actually graded you or was made to calculate where you are, where you've gone, where you began, where you've moved up to, and just progress. These are good identifiers of skills that you have. And guess what? The best part about skills, you never lose them. If you don't use them, yes, you may get a little rusty, but you never lose skills. They're always with you. And one of the last ways to identify your skills is to think of what comes naturally to you. Guess what? The things that come naturally to you that you do not even have to blink about are your most prized skills. So we've talked about what skills are. I know how to identify skills. Now, how do we fit skills into finding our life purpose? 2 ways. Your skills can guide you along the path of your purpose, or they can open different avenues to you. So, For me, I remember when I was in, I want to say it was elementary school, but it could possibly be middle school. We took what was considered a career aptitude test. Everyone had to take it. And when the results came back, they told you this is the type of thing that you would be good at, this is the type of thing to avoid, and so on and so forth. I've always known that I was meant to help people, but when my test came back, it said that I was meant to help people, but it told me I was meant to help people in terms of being a nurse or a doctor. So that stuck with me. And for a long time, even when I got to college, when I landed on Compton's campus, my major was nursing. And I thought about it and I tussled with it. And I didn't have to take any nursing classes my first year, which was really good because I didn't dive into it just yet. That first year, I tussled and I toiled with, did I really want to do the medical field? And was that the only way that I was able to help people? I ended up taking a psychology class my first year and was like, wow, this is different. This is another way that people are able to help people. I think I like this. Maybe I'll stick with this. So I changed my major from nursing to psychology, stuck with psychology, graduated with psychology. And because that aptitude test in elementary or middle school told me that I should be in the medical field as a doctor or a nurse, I stuck with that. That stuck with me. And for the longest time, I felt that was the only way that I could help people. But it wasn't until I hit college that I realized that the skills that I have of helping people does not necessarily have to box me into this one field. I can help people by listening to them, by coaching them, holding them accountable. There are so many different avenues that open up to me once I realized that I was able to go outside of the box of helping people in my mind, which was being a nurse or a doctor. So after I graduated college, I did nothing with psychology, but I was the friend that everyone came to talk to and get advice and get help. So I'm still helping people. And then I decided I'll help people by being a coach. So in that story, there are so many different ways that I'm still following the skill set that was given to me, that I've naturally had and was identified by a test, but I've done it in multiple ways along my life. So your skills are like all of the tools that you're going to need to help you when you get to your purpose. It doesn't necessarily have to be a rigid box that you can't come out of. Your purpose has so many different avenues, and one purpose can lead into another purpose for you. You just have to be open. You have to allow yourself to receive everything that's coming to you. I don't think I would be a coach if I strictly stuck with, or I kept my head down and said, no, this is what I have to do. I have to be a nurse or a doctor. I have to do this because this test said that I have to do this, and this is the only way that I am going to help people. I believe I would have had a very miserable life if I did that. So, does anyone have any questions for me at this point? Okay, so we've learned about skills, and so next week we're going to unlearn what it is or what it means to have a meaningful life. We're going to discuss, because the point of finding your purpose is to have a meaningful life, right? So we're going to find out how we can create a meaningful life, how we can balance, how balance and wellness can contribute to our meaningful lives, and of course, how finding our purpose can help us lead a meaningful life. I would love to keep in touch with everyone. You can find me on Facebook at Coach Keisha Golder, YouTube, Keisha Golder, LinkedIn, Keisha Golder, and of course, my website, KeishaGolder.com. As I mentioned earlier, I created the Your Life Purpose Makeover Journey, which is a 3-stage, 9-step program where we dig deep to find out who you are at your core and why you feel that you are being held back and do not have your purpose. Once we figure all of that out, guess what we're going to do? We're going to dig in and we're going to find your purpose. We're going to identify it. We're going to write it down. We're going to stick it on our foreheads and wear it proudly because that's what we want to do. And we are going to create the blueprint of how we are going to be able to fulfill not just this purpose, but if we feel that another purpose develops within us, how we can fulfill that purpose as well. Thank you for joining me tonight, and I shall see you guys next week.